Well, hello there. I'm glad you decided to interview me. It's been kind of lonely in the hospital while I'm recuperating, and I'm glad that you came by. My name is Johnny Johnstone, and I'm a machine gunner in the British Expeditionary Force fighting in France, and I was recently wounded by an aircraft during a battle, and I'll be glad to tell you how I got there. Well, as you can imagine, as an American living in Britain, I really got swept up in the whole nationalism whenever the war was declared, and the poster of Lord Kitchener asking Britons to fight had an effect on an American as well. This is a picture of me in London at the recruiting station getting ready to be shipped off and to join the army. We only trained in Britain for a short time. Here we are right before we were about to load up onto our troop ship. We had just gotten our uniforms and our weapons, and we were ready to hit France and hit the battlefield. And this is General Douglas Haig. He was the general of my regiment, my division, part of my army. So he was my commanding officer. This was our troop ship crossing over the English Channel from Britain over to France. We had a lot of fun on the troop ship. We goofed off a lot. There was really just a little bit of a lull before we got into battle action, and so we just decided to goof off and have a little fun for a little while. This is a picture of a French regiment that was right before us, marching through a village in France before we hit the battle lines, which was east of Paris. As we got closer to the battlefield, more scenes looked like this of dilapidated houses blown up by artillery or by fighting, and it began to be a pretty intimidating sight. Here's my first view of the trenches, what I saw of the trees, leaves and branches that had been blown off by artillery, and deep into the ground were these men huddled in these trenches. My first job was to carry barbed wire from the back to the front of the trenches set up for our defense. This was a typical early morning view of the trenches. We had one guy on watch, and if you can see, there are four guys. I am over here on the left with my feet sticking out that were asleep in the trenches. This is where we slept. We had no barracks or anything. We slept where we fought. If it rained a lot, mud got in the trenches. You can imagine the water just went straight down, and we often had to mire through all of this mud and muck to walk through the trenches. I was assigned to a machine gun unit, which required a lot of training. The machine gun was a particularly new weapon, and we trained for many days out of the trenches, which I was grateful for, to learn how to use the machine gun. I was a machine gunner when one of the first German gas attacks happened on the British trenches. At first it was a shocking experience, but we realized that if we stayed standing in the trenches, not low where the gas could collect on the bottom, we were relatively safe from the fumes because it wasn't concentrated enough to harm us. After that gas attack, we were given gas masks. This is a picture of myself and another gunner using our gas masks during a battle. For the first time in history, armies used aircraft to fight troops, and we were actually attacked by German aircraft. We normally had to raise our machine guns in this kind of position to be able to shoot the aircraft that flew relatively low, and most machine gunners were successful in bringing down enemy craft. This is a photo of the plane that we brought down with our machine guns that was attacking our trenches. Unfortunately, when the plane came down, I got rather excited and lost my footing on the top of the trench. I fell down and my head hit one of these wooden beams here. It gave me quite a concussion, quite a shock, and so I had to go to the hospital, which is where I am now. This is a picture of me my first day in the hospital. My head's wrapped because when I was first shot, I fell out of the top of the trench and my head hit an ammunition box. I damaged my head. This is my first day here. This is just me sleeping after I got to the hospital.